Okay, let's get into it. For this deep dive, we're looking at a really fascinating old story.
Yeah, it's from the Dhammapada commentary, specifically the Dhammapada Hakata.
Right. And the source text we're focusing on is called the Sambahulabhikkhuvatthu. That basically means the story of many monks.
And it's linked to verse 265 of the Dhammapada itself.
And these commentaries are so valuable, aren't they? They kind of wrap these short, sometimes cryptic verses in, a story.
Exactly. They show how the teachings actually worked in practice in specific situations. Gives them life.
Totally. So our mission here is to dig into a really key insight from this story. It's about just two qualities that, well, this text says they're the absolute key to transformation, liberation even.
Yeah, it's fundamental, and it comes out of a question asked by one of the Buddha's chief disciples.
Right, a very direct question. And the answer is surprisingly simple, but the result described is, well, pretty incredible.
It's a classic illustration of a core pathway emphasized in this Buddhist tradition.
The setup involves some traveling monks, the famous Venerable Sariputta, and like you said, an answer that apparently unlocked everything for them. So let's set the scene.
Okay. So the story unfolds at the Jetavana monastery, a very common setting. Many listeners will know it.
Yeah, the Buddha's residing there, teaching the monks.
And into this setting comes this particular group. The text says about 30 monks.
The samatha.
They're monks, yeah, from different areas, the Savasika. They arrive, they pay their respects, the usual way.
They sit down with the others.
And then enters Venerable Sariputta.
A key figure known for his profound wisdom.
And he looks at these monks who've just arrived. And the text says he sees something specific in them.
Yeah, he sees their potential. The capacity for arahatasa upanasaya, the foundation for arahatship, for full awakening.
Wow. So he sees they're ready, basically.
It seems that way. He senses this readiness.
So seeing this, Sariputta goes up to the Buddha. He stands respectfully, and then he asks this very direct question. Defilements vukantiti.
Right. He says, Venerable Sir, people often talk about two qualities. Two qualities. What are these two qualities? Gatame nukud vidamanti.
It's such a great question. Simple, but goes right to the heart of it. He's asking for the identification. What are they?
And then the Buddha's answer, according to the source, is just as direct, no hesitation.
Nope. He says, Sariputta, those two qualities, Vidhamma, that are spoken of are tranquility, samatha, and insight, vipassana.
Samatha vipassana vukantiti. Boom. Just like that.
Tranquility and insight, samatha and vipassana.
That's it. The straight answer. At least that's the initial identification given right there.
Yeah. No elaborate theory at first, just naming them. These are the two.
Okay, so after identifying them, the Buddha then offers a verse, a gatha, to sort of elaborate.
Right, to explain their importance, what they lead to.
And the core of that verse, as the source presents it, is really powerful. It basically says, when a Brahmin, and we'll get to that term, has gone beyond paraguhoti in these two qualities,
Berhisu damesu.
then all their fetters, savisa yoga, just go to destruction, adalgachanti. Because they know.
It's a strong statement. Mastering these two leads to the end of all bindings.
And the commentary helps us unpack this verse. It explains who this Brahmin is, what going beyond means here.
Exactly. It clarifies that when this happens refers to the moment a monk becomes free from defilements, a kazabo.
Right. And Brahmin here isn't about caste or birth, is it?
No, not at all in this context. The source is clear. It refers to that monk, the one free from defilements who has gone beyond because of mastering these two qualities, tranquility and insight.
Okay. And gone beyond paragu. That means reaching the goal.
Reaching the other shore, achieving liberation, nibbana. The commentary explicitly links this to being firmly established, being both tranquility and insight. It's about mastery of both.
Got it. And the fetters, the sayoga, what are those exactly?
Those are the things that bind us. The commentary says they tie us to vatiya, the cycle of birth and death, of suffering.
Like what specifically? Does it give examples?
Yeah, it mentions things like sense desire fetters, kamasaya gadayo, our attachments, our cravings based on senses, among other things that keep us stuck.
Okay, so those bindings. And the verse says they go to destruction.
Atila gachanti, or porikaya gachanti. They perish, they're completely ended, no remainder.
So, putting it all together from the commentary's view, when a fully purified monk masters tranquility and insight, reaching that state of gone beyond, then every single thing that tied them to suffering just dissolves, disappears, because of the knowing achieved through samatha and vipassana.
Precisely. It's the culmination of the path achieved through this specific pair of qualities.
And this is where the story really lands its punch, right?
Yeah.
The outcome for those monks.
Oh, absolutely. The source describes what happened right after this teaching.
So the Buddha gives this explanation, identifies the two qualities, speaks the verse.
And at the end of that discourse, Desanavasane.
All 30 of those monks, Sabepitebikku, the ones who had just arrived, the ones Sariputta saw the potential in.
They were all established in arahatship, arahatpatiyahisudi.
Wow, all 30 of them, just from hearing that.
That's what the text states. Full liberation, right then and there. It presents this teaching on tranquility and insight as the direct cause, the catalyst for their awakening.
That is incredibly striking. The simplicity of the question, the directness of the answer, and this immediate, profound result for the whole group.
It really highlights the immense power attributed to samatha and vipassana within this particular narrative and commentary tradition. It's presented as the key.
Okay, so let's try and connect the dots here from this deep dive. What's the core message for us listening now?
Well, this story from this specific commentary is telling us something fundamental. It identifies samatha, tranquility, and vipassana insight as the two qualities.
Right. Not just some qualities, but the ones Sariputta was asking about.
Exactly. And the text is very clear. When these are properly developed, mastered by someone who's ready,
Like those monks presumably were.
it leads directly to the utter destruction of all those fetters, everything that binds us to the cycle of suffering.
It's framed as the way to go beyond, to reach that ultimate goal, arahatship. The liberation of those 30 monks isn't just a side note, it's the proof offered within the story itself.
Yeah, it's the demonstration. It underscores just how central and effective these two practices were considered to be. It's presented as the direct path laid out by the Buddha in response to that pointed question.
It seems to distill the path down to this essential pairing, showing its potential for complete transformation.
Definitely. Within the context of this story, these two are placed right at the heart of the liberation process.
Okay, so just to recap quickly what we found in this deep dive, we explored this story where Venerable Sariputta asked the Buddha point blank about the two qualities.
And the answer comes back, crystal clear. Tranquility and insight. Samatha and vipassana.
Then the Buddha speaks a verse, which the commentary explains, means that mastering these two is how a perfected person breaks free from all bindings, all suffering.
And the story concludes dramatically with all 30 visiting monks achieving full awakening arahatship right after hearing this teaching, a powerful testament to the efficacy of focusing on these two qualities.
So it leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Here's a thought for you listening. This ancient text strongly suggests that focusing deeply on just these two things, developing tranquility and cultivating insight, holds the potential to completely dismantle everything that limits us and causes suffering. If that's the case, presented so clearly here, what might that imply about where we could focus our own energy, our own practice, if we're seeking understanding or peace? What could going beyond truly mean for us today through the lens of tranquility and insight?